Hi, Phanessa here. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to crochet the half double crochet stitch. So I'll leave a link for my previous videos on the basics of crochet and the basic crochet stitches. So far I've worked the single crochet, and this is the half double crochet, and my next video will be on the double crochet stitch. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, and I'm going to chain a few stitches. Okay, for your first half double crochet stitch, we're going to work into the third chain from the hook. So here is the very first stitch, that's the second, and that's the third right there. You're going to yarn over. Okay, so wrap your yarn around your hook. I like to hold on to it so I don't lose it when I insert my hook into that stitch. Okay, this is the third stitch here, and then yarn over and pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops that are on your hook. What you're going to do is yarn over and pull it through all 3 of these loops. So yarn over, pull through 1, 2, and 3. Into the next chain stitch, 1 half double crochet. Again, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'm going to work my half double crochet stitches in every chain stitch. Alright, there is my first foundation row of half double crochets. I'm going to chain 2, and this counts as your first half double crochet. I'm going to turn my work. So this is your first stitch, but because these 2 chains count as a half double crochet, my next half double crochet is going to be worked into the next stitch. Now if your pattern says that this chain 2 does not count as a stitch, you'll go ahead and work right into that first stitch. Okay, yarn over into the next stitch. Make sure you go through 2 loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Again, that chain 2 right there counts as a half double crochet. So after the first foundation row, it's usually a lot easier to see your stitches. So into the next stitch here, half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3. Okay, yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3. So I'm going to work all the way across until the turning chain. Okay, so I've worked my half double crochets across, and I have this chain 2 here from my foundation. I'm going to want to work into that turning chain as well. So if I turn this around, you can see that there's the first chain and there's the second chain. That's going to be the chain that you work into on this side. So yarn over and then into the second chain, insert your hook. Sometimes it can be tricky depending on how tight your tension is. And then yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So if you're not sure, I recommend counting your stitches. The beginning chain 2 counts as your first half double crochet, and then you can look down here. That's the corresponding stitch right below. And then there's these 2. This one corresponds with that one. And then if you keep counting them, you can see here that the previous one we worked goes with this one. It corresponds with that one. And this is the chain 2 from the foundation. So in order to keep the same stitch count, we need to work 1 half double crochet into the turning chain. So the pattern will say to either work your stitch into the turning chain or into the second chain from the turning chain. It depends on the designer and how they write out the patterns. So chain 2 and turn. Again, that counts as the first half double crochet. So I'm going to skip this first stitch and work my half double crochet into the next one. Yarn over into the next stitch, working through 2 loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'm going to work 1 half double crochet all the way across in every stitch. So I'm back here. Now if your tension is tighter, you probably won't even see this turning chain, so it's important to count your stitches. So I just worked a half double crochet that corresponds with this one here. I will need to work 1 last one into the turning chain. Again, it is the second chain from the turning chain below. So in our last row, we chained 2 to get up to the height of the half double crochet. This is the first chain and that's the second chain. So you want to work your last stitch on row 3 into that turning chain. Yarn over into that turning chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So there's the first chain and that's the second chain, and that's where we worked the last half double crochet on this row here. So the problem with the chain 2 counting as your first stitch is you end up with these holes at the beginning of your rows. So if you want to avoid that, you would chain 2, but don't count that as your first stitch. And now you're going to work into that very first stitch because this does not count as a stitch. You're going to work 1 half double crochet right into that very first stitch. So I'm going to work this across, and then I'm going to work back to show you where to work your stitches up here since it's no longer the turning chain. Okay, so I'm working my next row, and this is where my chain 2 did not count. So I'm going to do the same thing for this row, chain 2, and that doesn't count as my stitch. I'm going to work into the very first stitch, work my first half double crochet, and then I'm going to work half double crochets across this here. Okay, so now we have our first half double crochet here. Let's turn that around. we have our first half double crochet here, and then this chain 2 here doesn't count as a stitch. So instead of working into the second chain from the turning chain, you're going to work right on top of the half double crochet stitch. Okay, so it's easier to see than the chain stitches, in my opinion. Now instead of working into the turning chain, I'm going to work my last half double crochet on top of this half double crochet. Okay, so by not making that chain 2 your stitch, it helps fill in that gap or that hole. So you can see here, these are the rows that I worked my chain 2 as just a starting chain and not considering it an actual half double crochet. So you see that there's no gaps or holes like you have down here, where you have your chain 2 as a half double crochet and then this huge gap because you're skipping that first stitch there. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos. I'll see you next time.